Okay, so let's break down those movements. We've got Gary Booysen, who's a director and portfolio manager at Rand Swiss. A very good afternoon to you, Gary. Really solid close on the JSE today. Some nice support coming through from the financial stocks as well as your industrials. What would you say were some of the other catalysts that contributed to the green day that we saw on the JSE today?
I think we're playing a little bit of catch-up after the public holiday yesterday. So I think everyone is just waiting to see what happens tonight with the Fed. So you do get the sense that even though there were fairly wide moves in stock-specific counters, you get the sense that everyone is just holding their breath and waiting for Jerome Powell to speak. So we saw the recovery in the financial index. I think this is just the idea that the fears of contagion and the fears of real problems in the global banking system have been allayed to some extent. Resource index not doing particularly well. That has done well in the last couple of days. So maybe just taking a bit of a breather today. The gold miners have been doing a lot of heavy lifting in that index. But on Monday, we did see a big recovery in the likes of Kumba and Anglo Americans. So maybe today, just a little bit of profit taking. But as I said, everything to play for tonight.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve to make that decision. And I don't know if there's a little bit of pressure on the Federal Reserve, Gary, or what it may be. And I'm asking this because of what we saw happen to Silicon Valley Bank on the back of that aggressive interest rate hiking cycle that we saw. Could they consider tapering those hikes or just leaving them unchanged for now?
Well, it's a fascinating question. So on Monday, we had if we look at federal funds futures, which is a way to gauge what is going to happen with interest rates in the US, there was a 40% chance that the Fed was going to pause. As Monday progressed, and this was obviously in the wake of the deal between UBS and Credit Suisse, and obviously the Swiss National Bank having stepped in last week, we saw that probability move all the way down to only a 20% chance that they'll stay. There will be a no change result tonight. Pollsters are overwhelmingly predicting that there will be a 25 basis point hike, so that's 0.25%. So of the 82 people that are forecasting on Refinitiv currently, 76% of them say a 25 basis point hike. Interestingly, Nomura, the Japanese investment bank, actually believes that there will be a cut tonight, while 5 other investment banks think no change. But the overwhelming expectation is that we're going to get that 0.25% interest rate increase. That should feed through to the Reserve Bank as well, the South African Reserve Bank, that is. So when they meet later in the month, we're going to, I assume, see 25 basis points as well. Obviously, the inflation numbers that we got out today, missing expectations a little bit higher than I think people were comfortable with. And that also, I suppose, going to put a bit more pressure on our local consumers and certainly anyone that is holding debt in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of pressure, Transaction Capital, that profit warning not too great on the share price. It fell quite a bit, but also concerns around the CEO selling a stake of his shares and concerns that he knew some information that wasn't privy to the market yet. He's obviously come out to clarify this. But your views on that and the fact that they're now holding off now on the 15% purchase of the We Buy Cars shares that they were meant to do because of the fall in the share price that we saw last week?
So the Transaction Capital story, it all started with a fairly vague SENS announcement, just saying that the SA Taxi business, there were structural impediments in that business, and then the We Buy Cars business, that they were going to see margin pressure and that, they were going to obviously take a big knock in these results. Since then, as anyone who watches markets has seen, the share price is absolutely unwound, fallen all the way below sort of 12 rand, which is a big decline. But on Monday, coming out with a very detailed trading statement, trying to clarify, what they expected in the second half of the year. Also just saying that, the directors are not planning on selling any other shares. As you mentioned, saying that they're not going to conclude that We Buy Cars, the subsequent purchase of We Buy Cars stake, that will take them up to a 90% shareholding, because part of that transaction was going to be funded through an issue of shares, and just trying to reassure the market to say, with our share price having fallen as it has, we're not going to issue new shares and dilute shareholders further. It was really a sense announcement to say, please just stop selling our shares, trying to give a lot of clarity to the market. And I think it's successful. So we were down on Monday, but I think a lot of traders off the desk taking the long weekend. And today we've got the stock up 10, just short of 10%. So I think that message may be being received by markets today. Still everyone treading water ahead of that announcement, but maybe further gains to be had tomorrow.
Thank you very much for those insights. And of course, I was hoping we'd speak about OUTsurance, but because of time, we don't have the opportunity. But we will be catching up with you soon. That is Gary Booysen, who's Director and Portfolio Manager at Rand Swiss, wrapping up the Markets Day that was for us. And